What's going on, everyone? So the Lakers' loss of Jared Vanderbilt really hurts this team in a multitude of ways. Obviously, defensively, being able to put him on the best offensive player of the opponent night in and night out, but also his energy, his effort, offensive rebounds, even defensive rebounds, getting out in transition, creating deflections and steals, and just providing that lob threat constantly or that backdoor cutter, right? He's had a lot of success with the Lakers and was finally looking like the Jared Vanderbilt we know and love until he ended up getting hurt. And there's no real sign of what's going to happen with him, right? We got the reports that it's likely he could end up being out the entire season, which would be rough. It would hurt. Also, the Lakers, he just signed a new contract, so they're not going to want to risk him beyond this year. You don't want to rush him, and now he comes back and he gets hurt and he misses an entire season. So now not only did you lose him this season, but you lose him next season too, or something like that. Cam Reddish, right? We don't know when he's going to be back. And he's another guy that we could really use at this time, right? He's been excellent on the defensive side of things. He's not perfect, but for a vet minimum contract, he has greatly outperformed that contract. And he's just another sizable athletic wing that can defend pretty much any position on the court. And we need that. And because of the loss of Jared Vanderbilt, it looks like the Lakers are now prioritizing getting some wing depth because it's trade season, right? So, according to Jovan Buha, Lakers clearly need to establish a semi-balance of consistency with their performance, energy, effort, and playing rotation. At the same time, they likely need to make a trade or two. The team is putting a greater emphasis on adding a defensive wing by the trade deadline, according to team sources. The issue, of course, is that every team could use another wing. Prospective prices are high. So, look. It's a hot commodity, right? Everyone wants us to just go get a Dorian Finney-Smith, go get this guy or that guy, right? But problem is every team in the league is trying to get an Alex Caruso or a Dorian Finney-Smith. Got reports that the Brooklyn Nets turned down 2 firsts for Dorian Finney-Smith. The Lakers are definitely not giving up 2 firsts for him, and as long as demand is high for those guys, then the price is probably going to be high. But it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It doesn't mean that the Lakers can't work it out. I still lean towards the Brooklyn Nets 3-team deal makes the most sense. Right? One of the reasons, and I don't know this for certain, but we have seen this in the past, a team like Brooklyn, they're not trying to rebuild or tank. Because if they were, then they would have traded Mikal Bridges for the 4 firsts or 5 firsts that they were offered. Right? They've turned down, supposedly, based on reports, multiple draft pick offers for Mikal Bridges, and they refuse to trade him. And he's not worth 4 or 5 first-round picks, if that's true. That is a steal. But Brooklyn, they can't tank right now. They can't go into full rebuild mode. Right? They want to be competitive. They need to be good. They're trying to find pieces. So they're a team that may value a player more than draft picks. Even if the player isn't worth, say, 4 firsts that they could get for somebody, but if it's, say, that player is just a need, a fit, somebody that they like, it makes sense, then that's where a deal could be made. We know that the Brooklyn Nets, based on reports, even from the Brooklyn side of things, are very interested in D'Angelo Russell. Love to be a third team, send out Spencer Dinwiddie to the Atlanta Hawks. Lakers could get DeJounte Murray. Obviously, that's not a defensive wing, but it is a perimeter defender, point of attack guy that's 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan, and could help provide some level of defense out there. And then if you can turn a Rui Hachimura in a couple seconds or something like that into a Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal, or even if you're just trying to figure out how to go get Royce O'Neal. If everyone's trying to get Dorian Finney-Smith, can you get Royce O'Neal, right? I would prefer Dorian Finney-Smith, don't get me wrong, but Royce O'Neal is another guy, he's 6'4", 6'5", can defend multiple positions, 1 through 3, excellent three-point shooter, a legit 3-and-D guy, right? He's like an upgraded Taurean Prince. Again, I would prefer Dorian Finney-Smith because you're talking about a 6'7", to 6'8" guy who could basically defend 1 through 4. So you just have more versatility with Dorian Finney-Smith. But, look, beggars can't be choosers. We're very limited on assets, very limited on what we can send out. So, in my opinion, the Lakers, the only way they're going to be able to do this is to get creative. And you find those, 3-team deals, or you find those multi-team deals. There may always be that team out there that has a guy that they're just like, all right, fine. Like, that no one's really talking about or no one's thinking about, right? Like, saw it last year with Rui Hachimura. Right, Rui just came out of left field. Now, obviously, he's not a 3-and-D style wing, but he is a forward. He has size. He is a guy that many teams would probably like to have. But no one saw that coming, and the Lakers were able to get him for a couple seconds. So if the Lakers could do something like that, even if it's kind of like an older guy, right, like get multiple pieces. Like, I wouldn't hate if they got like Royce O'Neal and then went and traded for like a Torrey Craig from Chicago. Cheap contract, a legit 3-and-D guy. He's a veteran, right? So teams aren't really going to prioritize him, but he probably could be grabbed for cheap, right? Things like that, where it's kind of outside the box. It is what we need, but it's not somebody, it's not the sexy name. It's not the name that people are like, oh, that's the guy. But it's like, okay, like he's a legit 3-and-D style guy. He's been excellent defensively this year. Right? Go get somebody like that, I think could really help change the Lakers. Right? And again, teams are going to want the younger guys as opposed to, the 6'6", 33, 34-year-old guy. So that's kind of where I lean in that regards is like a potential possibility. Another option would be to go get Miles Bridges. Can you get Miles Bridges and like Nick Richards? That would be nice. Problem is that the Lakers and pretty much every team that is interested in trading for Miles Bridges is reluctant, because he's probably a 1-year rental, right? Because he's going to want to get paid. And any contender that goes and trades for him, they're not going to have the cap space to re-sign him to a deal that he's probably going to want. Right? He's probably going to be looking for 18 plus million. Now, will he get that? Who knows? But he'd probably get more than like 5-6 million, or, the like biannual exception or anything like that, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, he probably gets more than many of these teams can offer. Also, the Phoenix Suns, there have been reports that Phoenix isn't that far off from trading for Miles Bridges. Which, I mean, if I'm the Lakers, right, that's a team that's in front of you that you're trying to catch that could really use Miles Bridges also. If you could trade for Miles Bridges just to keep him off of Phoenix, like that would be beneficial, and then have him, and he is a player that's actual real need. And, if you could find a way to flip Gabe Vincent for expiring deals like the Lakers are trying to, then you may be able to get Miles Bridges, right? Because you may be able to say like, hey, dude, we want you here long-term. We see you as a valuable piece. We see you as a guy that could be part of this core for the future, even post LeBron James. We can't give you 18, 20 million like you want now. But, your perception in the league isn't great right now. You got a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Let's, we could give you the mid-level exception. You get, what is it, like 12 million, just under 13 million, I think is the max. Right, we'll give you like 13 million a year, sign you to a 1+1, and then, stick around, get your bird rights, and then we can go over the cap to keep you. If it works out. If it doesn't, well, then you at least can prove yourself. If somebody offers you a massive deal, then go take that massive deal, right? But could be a good place. We have a good track record of the sort of reclamation projects. Maybe don't put it as bluntly as that, but essentially what you're signaling to a guy like Miles Bridges. He would be perfect. 6'8", sizable, physical, bulky, defensive, two-way wing that has athleticism, right? He is basically what we want Rui Hachimura to be, right? I mean, he really is, where he's just a sizable, bulky, quick-footed, great lateral movement type of just defensive player who can defend the 3, but also, if you need to, can defend the 4 and even some small ball 5s. Where Rui is kind of more, he's more slow-footed. So he's more of just a 4. Where Bridges, he is a guy that legitimately can defend 3s and would be nice to have on this Lakers roster for his versatility and his ability to score, even put the ball on the deck. He can be a little hot and cold as far as three-point shooting goes, but he'd be really good. And again, the Phoenix Suns are the most aggressive right now based on reports to try to acquire him. So if we could get him and keep him away from the Phoenix Suns, that would help also, because he would be very impactful for the Suns. He would be their best player next to their big 3. So, that would be an option. But look, regardless, Rob Pelinka has his work cut out for him. Like, it's no doubt. He's got to figure out how to trench through this. Also find deals of value. Because the Lakers are, like, if we were in like the Oklahoma City Thunder situation where we just had 34 first round picks or whatever it is to go and make trades and deals, it's like, okay, let's take some risks on some guys, right? Because there's no way we're going to be able to draft all these guys. You take a couple chances, take a couple risks, right? You don't want to go overboard. You don't want to go too ridiculous, but you can afford to be a little aggressive, right? If there's a player that you really want that you think would really have an impact, right? You can get away with like, okay, let's give them a first. Everyone's offering 2 seconds or 3 seconds or whatever. Let's give them one of the least favorable first, right? And it's like, well, why did they trade a first for it? Well, because he makes sense, right? He's a player of real need and could have an impact, right? And now you could go get a DeJounte Murray, a Miles Bridges, a Dorian Finney-Smith, and just go all in. But we're not in that position. We have 1 first-round pick, a pick swap, and like 3 seconds or something like that to trade. And we have D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, right? Like, they're not the most sexiest trade targets, right? They're not the trade targets that teams are lining up for, right? Like, one of the reasons DeJounte Murray isn't being more sought after is because how many teams need a point guard? How many teams need a guard, period? I mean, most teams already have their guys for now and the future locked up. So that's why the pool of teams lining up to trade for DeJounte Murray are very thin. Same thing with D'Lo, right? D'Lo's a point guard, right? There's teams that may, if they didn't have a point guard, would value D'Lo tremendously. But, look at a team like the Brooklyn Nets. They like D'Lo. And they're looking at it as like, well, we could go and trade a bunch of stuff to go get Murray, or we could save all that stuff and get D'Lo for free and help Murray get to the Lakers, right? Like, and we'll deal with the Lakers if we see them in the finals, right? So Rob Pelinka, he has a tough task, a very daunting task, because the Lakers just have so many needs. You still need a backup center, although that is like my least concern. Again, you still have free agents out there. The buyout market, maybe there's somebody that we just don't see or don't expect. And, worst case scenario, you just do like a little small trade for a guy that's just serviceable. You don't need anybody amazing. Once you get to the playoffs, if the Lakers get to the playoffs, but once you get to the playoffs, Anthony Davis is going to play probably close to 40 minutes a game anyway. So you just need somebody to come in and play 8 to 10 minutes. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you have your concerns? Do you not? Do you think a trade gets done? Do you think it doesn't? How do you feel? What your thoughts are? Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.